want to thank the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute for sponsoring this video. MMI is a school for motorcycle enthusiasts who want to train for a career in the industry. Click the link above for more information. Hello, welcome to Austin, Texas, and that behind me is the Indian Sport Chief, Indian's answer to the Harley-Davidson Low Rider ST. And how do I know that? Because Indian just flat out said it. We're going after the Harley-Davidson Low Rider ST. It's not often you see a manufacturer blatantly call out their competition's bike, but in the case of the Sport Chief, that's exactly what they did. You can see the resemblance too. You've got that quarter fairing in the front, just the overall silhouette looks oddly familiar if you're a Low Rider S fan, but that's not entirely fair to say in Indian's part, because all along, Indian planned for the Chief to have a sport variant, but the bobber version and the standard version came first because those were the ones that were more popular in the market. All of that aside, let's take a closer look at the Indian Sport Chief and tell you the ins and outs and why this thing is pretty important for Indian. Okay, here is the Sport Chief up close and personal. Let's just make this easy on ourselves and start right up here in the front. As you can see, you've got the quarter fairing right there. Obviously a nod towards the Low Rider ST from Harley. You know, you can call it a copy if you want, but stylistically, overall, I really dig the looks of the Sport Chief, and for that matter, the Low Rider ST as well. As far as cruisers go, that's a good silhouette. That's a good classy yet sporty looking platform for a cruiser. So, starting up front, what makes the Sport Chief, you've got the 19-inch wheel up front, but more crucially, more importantly, you've got twin semi-floating disc brakes with the Brembo 4-piston radial mount calipers. It's the same braking system you'll see on the Indian Challenger, but in the Sport Chief application, you've got different brake pads for a little bit more aggressive stopping power. I'll tell you how that all works in the real world in a second. And of course, we can't forget the heart of the matter, the Thunderstroke engine. The base version of the Sport Chief will get the 111 cubic inch version of the Thunderstroke engine. These versions here that we're riding and the upgraded model, I guess if you want to call it that, will also be available in the 116 cubic inch version. These air-cooled engines, Indian says, make up to 120 pound-feet of torque. That's a pretty healthy amount of power. Of course, you can see the blacked out exhaust going back there. But what also makes the Sport Chief all resides back here in this back area of the motorcycle. So right there, you've got two. There's one on the other side, obviously. Piggyback reservoir, Fox shocks with 4 inches of travel. That's more inches of travel than the standard Chief has. And not only do you get more suspension travel to better absorb bumps, but it also it lifts the back end of the bike for better cornering clearance. It's no sport bike, let's not kid ourselves, but you get, compared to the standard Chief, you do get more cornering clearance, slightly better lean angles for that, and that's largely due to the Fox shocks with preload adjustment and 4 inches of travel. So, because the rear end is lifted up, it makes the front of the bike more aggressive. You got a 28-degree rake, which is steeper than the standard Chief. Obviously, the foldable pegs there with the little nubs for the ground feelers, so you can scrape those down because you're going to want to get low on this bike. And then up there, the seat, the solo bobber seat, is the other distinguishing feature of the Indian Sport Chief. It's pretty well bolstered, it's well padded, it's a pretty comfortable place to be for a day ride. The mid controls combined with that solo seat and the standard bar risers that are 6 inches on the Sport Chief, the bar risers right there, all make for a comfortable yet sporty, for a cruiser, type of ride. Then you have the inverted KYB fork. In stock trim, you can't do anything to it. It's non-adjustable. In the Indian catalog, you can get the Fox shocks with full adjustability. You can get 10-inch risers, or you can get a 4-inch riser depending on your preference. You can also get, this is the standard screen, you can get a taller screen or a shorter screen. Some of those even have a flare for better wind protection. And then, as we move across, obviously there's also the air intake, which you can't see on this standard Chief, which is why I brought this one over to show you as well. Right here, you can clearly see the intake from the Indian accessories catalog. This one actually has the shorter of the windscreens. I believe that's the same handlebar riser, but my impressions of the bike so far, if you've seen what I've done in the past, you know cruisers generally aren't my jam. That's not to say I don't like them. I do like to get my cruiser itch scratched every now and again, and the Sport Chief answers a lot of the complaints I usually have about cruisers, and the Rogue specifically. No suspension travel, especially in the rear. It's such an annoyance, if not a downright pain, to go over what is seemingly a nothing bump in the road, but since you have no suspension travel, it just jolts your spine and kills you. 4 inches of travel on the Sport Chief. We've gone over a couple of manhole covers, some bumps in the road, and you know what? It actually absorbs it. Like, imagine that, suspension that actually does its job. It feels good, it feels nice, I appreciate that. It wouldn't hurt to have more adjustability, but hey, that's available to you if that's really what you want to have. The seat's comfortable. I'm 5'8", I've got I'm pretty scrawny. I wouldn't mind a better reach to the bars. Luckily, that is an option if you're so inclined. You can get taller bars, you can get a different seat, move yourself forward, backward, middle, whatever your heart desires, depending on your body type. All that's available to you. In standard trim, like you see behind me, I wouldn't mind bars that are closer to me, but that's easily fixable. The seat itself is well padded, pretty well cushioned actually. It's a comfortable place to be. I like the mid-mount controls for a bike like this. Comfortable, lets me go through some of the twisty stuff without really exerting my body just to hang on to the bike. Yeah, the pegs scrape the ground pretty quickly. That's to be expected. It's a cruiser, not a sport bike. And then there's that Thunderstroke engine, 120 pound-feet of torque. You get on that throttle and it goes, and torque is what's addicting on a motorcycle, and that thing scoots you pretty well. There's 3 ride modes on the Sport Chief. You have standard, you have touring, and you have sport. You would think with a name like Sport Chief, sport ride mode is where you want to be, but in my opinion it actually isn't. The thing it has going for it is the throttle application is super crisp and super direct and really aggressive, which in canyons and stuff like that is pretty fun. Or if you're just trying to, win the stoplight to stoplight challenge, it's pretty fun too. But everywhere else, if you're neutral throttle especially, or just cruising along, it surges really abruptly and it's kind of annoying. Switching it over to standard ride mode, that surging goes away. It's really nice in just everyday riding situations. That immediate pickup on the throttle isn't quite there, but that's a worthy thing to give up in exchange for better ride quality everywhere else. And it's not like the thing is slow either. It'll get up and it'll move. The brakes, it stops really well for a cruiser. Those dual discs are really nice. The Brembo calipers clearly work well. If I were to nitpick a little bit, I wouldn't mind even more aggressive brake pads to get better stopping power, but you can slow down pretty darn well on this thing. The other thing too, you can feel that the bike is choked with that stock exhaust. Indian has to do what it has to do to get through EPA emission standards and everything else it has to do to sell a bike in the US and around the world too. So I think if it were me, I would put some different exhaust, air intake, let the thing breathe, move the bars a little bit to get it closer to my hands, and I'm not sure what else I would do. Oh, and before I forget, there's one more feature I should point out as well. That 4-inch display. That's round, looks like an analog display, but you press the button. Ooh, it's a TFT display with cool Indian graphics. Check that out. And then, you got to go through the ride check and make sure you understand that riding a motorcycle is dangerous and you accept all responsibilities if you're a dummy and you fall over and blah, blah, blah. But check that out. A touchscreen. Swipe, get different faces for the gauges. That's pretty cool. You got a gear indicator, mileage, fuel meter, RPM gauge there. All designed to look like an analog tach, but it's all digital. Like I said, it's a touchscreen. You can tap there. You can tap there, get different screens. Here's your ride mode screen. Get that. You can tap through all kinds of different things. You can also press a button on the left bar to toggle through some of the screens as well. So it's pretty cool. And you can even get navigation if you pair it with your phone, and the screen will look something like that with a map and everything. So, that's pretty sweet tech for a motorcycle like this. And of course, you've got cruise control. So who doesn't like that? So those are my quick takes on the Indian Sport Chief. And if you want more information on the Indian Sport Chief in the written form, you guys know what to do. You gotta go down here. Check out Motorcycle.com and get my full review there. So until next time, see ya. Ride safe. We want to thank the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute for sponsoring this video. MMI is a school for motorcycle enthusiasts who want to train for a career in the industry. Click the link above for more information. If the silhouette of it looks a little bit familiar to you, that's because... Whoa!